I want to ask you a question. Maybe see if you and I have this in common sometimes. Do you ever have times in your life where you hear something spoken to you, or maybe you read a verse in scripture, and perhaps it's something that you have heard or read many, many times, and you know in your head that it's true, and you would say, I absolutely believe that. But you struggle at times to fully embody that, to fully live from that place of understanding that. Maybe it struggles to get from the head down to the heart. I know that's the case for me, and maybe that is for you too. I'm going to share a verse with you that I was reading just this week, and it's a verse that, once again, I've heard many times before. I know that it's true in my head, yet I sometimes struggle to fully accept this truth. Hebrews 13 verse 5, this is the words of God to us as his children. He says, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. The word for leave and forsake, it means to desert, to leave behind, to give up on, to abandon. God is making a promise to you and I that he will never abandon us. He'll never leave us. He'll never forsake us. He will always be with us, always. Like I said, I know that in my head. Maybe you do too. But all too often, I struggle to accept that truth. I think there can be many reasons why that is the case. Perhaps you've experienced some rejection or abandonment in your life, maybe from a young age. I know that when we experience times of that, or if we've experienced a lot of that in our lives, that can then, I guess, be projected onto how we view God, because we subconsciously take on those beliefs and we subconsciously associate those actions of other people to God. And once again, we know in our heads that God isn't like that, but it can still be a struggle. There can be many reasons why we take on this belief, or we struggle to accept this truth that God will never leave or forsake us. I don't have time to get into all of those right now. But if you're like me and this is a struggle, I want to encourage you today that it's really true, that God really never will leave you. He will never forsake or abandon you. And if you're like me and you struggle to accept and believe that truth sometimes, maybe you could try a little practice. It's something that I'm going to work on too. I've been learning a lot lately about the brain and the nervous system and neuroplasticity. I'm not going to get into a lot of that right now. I'm not an expert. I'm not a trained professional. But I have been finding it really valuable learning about it. One of the things I'm learning is that the brain and the body and the nervous system really value repetition. When we do something over and over again, it forms new pathways in our brain. They're called neural pathways. And the more we do it, the bigger and the more entrenched that pathway becomes, to the point where it just becomes second nature. It's like learning to ride a bike, or writing, or driving a car. It feels unnatural at first, but the more we do it, it becomes to a point. It comes to a point where we don't even have to think about it anymore, because it's just second nature to us. I believe it's the same with what God has to say to us in our lives. And I'm going to work on repeating this truth and saying to myself every day that God will never leave me and that God will never forsake me. And I'd like to encourage you that if you struggle with fully believing this truth, maybe this would be a good practice for you to do as well. Stating out loud, writing it down, sticking it reminders wherever you are able to see them regularly, that truth, that he will never leave us, that he will never forsake us. And perhaps if you're willing to do that, in time, it will start to form those pathways in our brain, in our nervous systems, in our bodies, that we just start to accept it as second nature, that God will never leave and forsake us. And I believe that if that is the case, that it will, in time, transform the way that we live, the way that we think, the way that we speak, the way that we act, the way that we view ourselves and other people and the world around us. This is one of those truths that I believe is so foundational that it's vital that we fully embody this truth, because it really will affect everything else. When we truly understand that God is in it for the long haul, he will not give up on us. It changes everything. So I want to encourage you, one, with reminding you of that truth. He will never give up on you or forsake you. And I want to challenge you that if you struggle to accept it, maybe do what I'm going to do and take the time, set a reminder on your phone to repeat that truth every day. Thanks for listening. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, and you can reach out to me on my socials if you'd like to get in touch.